Hello, and welcome to Friday, 18th of October. It's a day of remembrance for our family, and it is also the last full day of our holiday before we return back to Dunbar, where we live in Scotland. So, yeah, let me flip you around and show you a bit of the adventure that we take a walk on. The topic that I felt guided to share was a couple of topics, but the themes run through both. One is the aspect of climbing the mountain of your dreams. So this was today's message from my guides. And what I really loved was, first of all, and they made this point, and it's really powerful, right? Even by itself, which is we all get to choose whether we create like a mountain to climb for this dream life that we seek. And I reflect on that in that when you think about it, in many respects, our souls didn't come into this lifetime for an easy life. We came here for growth. Many of us, not all, but many. And I feel like this mountain is really beautiful analogy and visualization, because it takes us to, feeling that as we learn how to climb to the very top, this is how we learn how to grow. And it's not about shrinking the mountain, it's not about fast tracking your way up to the top. It's about learning how to smoothly and sustainably climb the mountain. I also love that we get to choose our mountains. We get to choose which one it is. I feel like everyone has their own unique mountain, their own unique dream life. I feel that dream life is a helpful analogy because it can include lots of different things. Your romantic partnerships, your business, your friends and family, where you live, what you do, all these things. So I feel that's a really powerful, helpful container for the aspirations and wishes that you'd like to achieve in this lifetime. The other really cool message that came through was saying that every step, including my steps right now that I'm taking and that Patch is taking, every step is about us being able to learn how to celebrate each moment, to celebrate each step. And I feel that's the key to creating like a sustainable momentum and pattern to climbing the mountain of your dreams. And it's not just about the learning how to do it really fast. It's not about learning how to skip any step. It's just as much about being able to stop and reflect. And that was the other thing, like we can view climbing a mountain, and apologies, I'm just picking up what Patch loves to put down on his morning walk. You probably hear the rustling of the bag. So another way of thinking about the analogy of climbing the mountain is that what really happens is you learn how to make it feel like you're only ever taking a step forwards, and that you're receiving this mountain growing underneath you. Like your life in every moment is growing underneath you. And of course, it's not really the mountain itself that's growing underneath you, it's you that is growing within you. And so this opportunity to reflect on excuse me, this opportunity for you to stop and reflect on your progress and your journey is really, really powerful. So yeah, taking a moment to stop. Now, if you're physically climbing a mountain, like in April we climbed, my daughter, my son and I, we climbed Ben Nevis, the tallest mountain in the Highlands of Scotland, well, in all the UK, and that was an incredible experience, and there was lots of stops on the way, and we got to enjoy the views and take photos and just enjoy the moment. So yeah, I really love that. The other aspect is that on that journey we felt huge sense of achievement, and there was lots of people telling us to turn back on the journey, because it was April and the weather was still quite cold for that time of year. About the top third was covered in snow, and ice and snow, and it was really quite scary at quite a few points. And yet the accomplishment now, when I look back, the stories that we tell, and my kids certainly see it as a highlight. How long did it take us? 8.5 hours, I think, up and down. 8 hours and 26 minutes seems to stick in my mind. So yeah, I really love that. And when you're climbing the mountain, you stop, even at the really hard times, and this is really important, right? If you feel right now that you're going through a really hard time, that your life feels stuck, just like I felt stuck in my corporate job and really wanted to leave, you're climbing your mountain, right? You're in those moments of like the ice or the hard rocks, the ice and snow without the proper climbing equipment like I was. But it doesn't mean that you're really stuck or that you're really stopped. And it's not like you're falling back down the mountain, right? It's all about that feeling of progress. And I do feel that in this analogy of this visualization of the mountain to our dreams, is that there's a lot of fog around us and we don't really know what's happening with the next step. A lot of us aren't really sure where the top of the mountain is, and that's part of the fun, right? Is that exploration part. Come on, Patch. So yeah, I just want to share that message as well, is that if you're finding it really hard and you're battling in this journey of your life and you're feeling frustrated and you're feeling blocked, you're feeling trapped, and all those things I felt many, many times in this life, to know that you're not alone. Many of us are going through these emotions and different experiences, and to know that sometimes it's a really good idea when you're feeling blocked, ironically, because it's a lack emotion, it's like a fear emotion, ironically, is to take a stop, look around, be grateful for the beautiful view of life, like reflect on your life, all the things you've achieved, the progress that you're making. And by stopping, it's one way of saying, look, just like how to get out of lack financially is to spend money, you're taking the opportunity to say, I'm going to spend my time and energy by stopping to receive this gratitude and this beautiful progress that I've made, and that's what you can do, and it'll help you at very least receive more and start to understand how important it is that this journey that you've chosen includes this element of it, includes these feelings of being stuck and blocked and trapped. And to know that they are all, like, when you get to the very top, right, you can't just look down the journey and through your life and say, oh, there was some wrong turns there and I was really annoyed about that and that was a total waste of time. Like, every single step is happening for you. It's happening to help you grow. Okay, so let's talk about some more specifics, because some of you have been asking about me sharing more of my corporate journey, and every day that passes, and in particular I'd like to touch on some of those themes of feeling stuck. Every day that passes since I left, my memory and the version of me that used to be there changes, it evolves. So yeah, I joined, I'd been in the software industry, I think, for I think my first job was 97, and from 97 I was a developer for my first couple of jobs, and then I started as a developer in my third job. Now I'd had about 10 different jobs. Morning. So yeah, and I was always moving. Like, it was always like, try and find a new mountain, John. Try and find a new place. So yeah, my third job, I was in my mid 20s or so, and I went into management. And in management, I started like with a small team, and I always felt like I could do better than my managers. And for all my managers that have listened to what I do, it's like, yeah, there's always that part of me that wanted to grow. And also for the times that I saw an inspirational manager, be like, I want to be more like them. Like, I want to be able to do the things they do, and influence the direction of our company and our products and what we do for our customers. Anywho, yeah, my first couple of jobs were in I did power billing systems in Perth in Scotland, and then I did mobile billing systems as a developer for both these jobs in Edinburgh for a company. And then my third job was in digital CCTV, which was back in the early 2000s, was very much embryonic. But that was fantastic. I got to travel the world for those 5 years, including Japan 3 times. It was my first management position. So that company was really cool, and I learned loads about business and both software and hardware manufacturing. And I worked with a lot of customers around the US and Japan. I think that's probably my first experiences of working with people in the US. I also then went on and did, this will take ages if we go through every single job, but I went and worked in digital agencies, internet service providers, banks, doing online banking systems, and then I also made my way up to CTO or technical director or chief technology officer. You describe that role as, so being like the leader or director for the technology I did that in 2 companies, and then I joined my corporate job. And I won't just keep repeating their company name over and over. I will say it because it's helpful for the context. But yeah, I also describe what my job was on my About Me page, because I wanted to capture the context. And so much of our journeys are about context, right? So I joined after not a very nice experience in the company prior to that. I joined, let me just see if we can go down here, it's a little bit quieter. Yeah, I joined, Amazon was the company I joined, so the corporate aspect of Amazon. And I don't really know how many people there were at the time. It was April 2016, and there was around maybe 100,000 people. When I left, it was around 1.8 million people in corporate. So yeah, when I joined, it was to do some job recommendations for an internal website to help people find jobs across inside of the company and across the company. And I remember, the numbers of jobs being like 20, 30,000, and later, got into like the 100,000+ open jobs. So there was, as well as hiring outside the company, there was a huge investment in helping people inside. My team was small when I started. I had 4 people, which I found incredible because I managed over 70, maybe as many as 75 or 77 people in the previous company, or previous but one company. So this managing 4 was incredible, and I really enjoyed the first couple of years. There was a little bit of a sidestep to my team stepping out for a few months and helping develop some of the performance and appraisal systems, and I led like the front end aspects of those projects. And then I came back into my job recommendation work, and from there I went on and had this opportunity to start working with recruitment, and I really enjoyed that change, because my team would developed what we called at the time, now we'd call it artificial intelligence. Back then we called it machine learning, or both are machine learning, both are applied science. And I'd hired scientists, applied scientists, as well as my software development team, and we blended them together, and we were kind of the first doing it certainly in the organization that we're in. Previous teams had tried like different attempts at it, some of which had made it into the press, but we came along as a separate team, and I built these new teams from scratch, or thereabouts. There's a couple of developers that continued on from our first work, from when I joined. So yeah, the first couple of years were pretty smooth, and we grew like our job recommendations and started to make some impact and help get more people applying for jobs. And then after that, and I remember I'd often go to the US. I think at points I was going to Seattle every 2 to 3 months. I remember at one point we were doing a proposal for internal job recommendations, and it was it seems like a really dangerous place to cross, come around here. I was going every month to Seattle, and it's like a 9.5-hour flight from Edinburgh over to Seattle. So that was fun. And then I started growing my team, and I remember, this is a time in my life when I was still seeking more, but I wanted to earn more money. I wanted to have a better job title, and at the company I was in, you can increase like your level, your title, your seniority. Bigger house, maybe bigger car, better holidays, all these things. And of course all these things were happening. I was getting more money. I'd earned more money than I ever had in my life. I was already into 6 figures. Our house was a 6-bedroom house plus big Zumba dance studio, converted garage, which became my music studio. And we were also saving a lot. We were saving a lot and putting it into our mortgage. So where I found myself, I think by about between years 4 and 6, so it was 8 years in total. Years 4 and 6, I was like growing an empire. I grew 3 teams. Each of them have their own business. I must show you some of this. These look really cool. And it's funny because I do need to buy some stuff for my Halloween event I'm running in just over a week's time. So there was this opportunity where I could continue to grow, and I've done really well with my manager, and he really wanted to help me in my career, even though he and most of the other teams and managers and leaders were over in Seattle or Vancouver, Canada. What I found myself doing was being hungry for the next level. And in many respects, and I don't know if this resonates with you, but in many respects, in the absence of really knowing what would make me happy, I just ended up, following the kind of standard pattern, the blueprint of Western society, right? And I thought, well, I'll just get a promotion. And I remember working so hard for it. There was a year in particular where my boss was writing, the promotion document, and I was writing loads of stuff, and we needed to get people to approve it, and there was some people that were supportive and some people that weren't sure, and so the list, so the journey goes on. And then coming up for the last couple of years is when I'd started to finally make a shift, right? So I was on the brink of burnout, of exhaustion. I'd seen other people around me, including those that work for me, go through burnout. Some, very extreme versions of this, and I'll share that in another video. But you can also watch my mindful leadership podcast, because that also talks a lot about those experiences. And yeah, I just felt this shift. I was like, I really need to change what I'm doing in my life. I need to get to a situation where I'm not just working all the time and burning myself out. I need to change. More Halloween stuff. The Curiosity Corner. Maybe I'll go there a bit later. That's cool. Haunted Holidays, dead and breakfast. I saw a ghost. He saw me too. I waved at him and he said boo. Very cool. Yeah, so I knew something needed to change, at very least from a health perspective. And I remember having this conversation with my wife, and she was like, we should at very least do something with all this money that you're earning. And that's also when we invested in a holiday home to let out, because even though we hadn't paid our mortgage off on our own home, the way money works is that you can end up in a situation where you're putting more into mortgages and debt, which kind of didn't really make much sense, because you're borrowing more, you're in more debt, but it was absolutely the right thing to do. And as always, my wife was incredibly wise and knew exactly what to do, or at least followed it great intuition. So what I did was I just kept working, and I remember asking to go part-time, and that's the point where I asked my manager at the time to go part-time, down to 3 days a week. Not 4, because I'd just be working 5 days and 4 days. What I didn't know is I'd be working almost, or literally 5 days and 3 days, but it started to create this space in me. Now, the reason I share it from a perspective of my corporate job is things started to quite quickly change. So from a guy that had taken a team of 4 to building an empire, I can't remember what, we got up to about 38 people, which, in terms of numbers of people isn't massive, but I am sure the salary bill of these very highly talented and very absolutely lovely people was huge. Everything in that company at those levels is extremely expensive, and we were innovating in the use of artificial intelligence and working with people in HR and recruitment beyond what we were aware of anyone else doing in the world at the time, and doing it in a fair and consistent manner for everyone. So that felt really good ethically, and technically it was very challenging to work with. I loved the experimental side. So yeah, I went part-time. Things started to shift around me, and I remember one of the deals that my manager said was that, look, when you go part-time, I'm going to hire someone full-time in to do your job, and then over time you can figure out what you want to do. And so there was always this kind of thing hanging over me, which was, well, eventually will they just kind of manage me out, or just end up in a position where I don't want to work there anymore. That manager ended up leaving, but you know, there was general unhappiness about me being a senior leader and being part-time. It also made other leaders at my level, this is after I got promoted, they also asked about being part-time, so to which the answer was no. So anyway, I wasn't like super precious about it, and of course it, you know, it was hard. I think I would have found it really hard not to have done it, like full, to have started that job doing 3 days a week would have been really, really tough. So there's no way that I could have just stepped into that and said, you know what, I'm your new manager, I just do 3 days a week. Like I would have, the previous 6 years prior to that were hugely instrumental. Things, and then for the last couple of years things changed a lot in the company. The company stopped hiring, or certainly hiring as many people, and we were in recruitment, so it had a big effect on everyone. And also as I like shifted over into different roles, and we hired in different people to take over from me. And I remember over from what must have been something like from year 6 to year 7, 5 or so people were hired to replace the one job I was doing, and it felt like I was doing 5 or so jobs, and many of them struggled at it. Like it was hard. It required a lot of deep historical knowledge, and I found it hard to teach others. And it's not that I'm better than anyone else, just that these are complex human journeys that require a lot of teaching. And of course I was part-time as well, so that made things a bit harder. I think we're going to cut around, we'll loop around here. I don't know what I just did there. Was I zooming into my face? Come on, Pat, she's loving the smells today. So yeah, I think after that changes that I saw, I realized that it was just a matter of time. I could probably have found myself another role, and I did briefly look, but I realized that starting a new role, starting a new team, these would have been starting again. It's a huge amount of effort. And I was thinking, in the back of my mind, I was thinking, well, I am looking for a career change. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. I didn't know that until, just coming up on a year ago now. So yeah. And I just want to kind of reflect back on some of the earlier points. If you made it this far in the video, well done, fantastic. Is that there was periods, many days in those 8 years, where I would go into work and I would feel downtrodden, disconnected, disheartened, exhausted, on the brink of burnout, disenfranchised, very much in these kind of golden handcuffs situation, and just feeling like there was no way out. And because I didn't know. It's kind of like feeling like you're in prison, and that everything's, at very least financially easier, but then you don't know what's outside. And so why would you escape a prison when you have no awareness of what's outside, whether it's going to be worse or not? And most people will tell you, and they'll probably tell you the same thing today, is that, John, you will earn a lot less money outside of this golden handcuff. And one of the first things I needed to do was break free from that and say, look, the money isn't the most important thing, regardless of whether I earn more money or not. And for what it's worth, if you're listening, for those people that do share how much they earn, then it's absolutely possible to earn more and not dissimilar salaries to what I was earning in my corporate job. And time will tell what happens for me. A lot of that will depend on my own choices. For me, it's not about the money, it's about helping others and just being able to sustain my family with an abundant lifestyle. And abundance is freedom and flexibility and flow, and finances are a part of that, but they're not the leading part. It's really beautiful now. Well, it's all been really beautiful, but yeah. Where do I explain next? So once I made up my mind and decided I want to leave, going on like September, October last year, just after I attended or completed mindfulness teaching, a teacher qualification, that I then began to realize that I need to take action. And you'll know more from other videos, but basically I resigned in January and said, hey, I'm going to leave by the end of December 2024, which was both shocking that I was going to leave both the company and the industry, and then also that it was going to be, a lot of, my manager totally got it, but many leaders around me didn't understand why I would give such a long notice period, especially from a US-based company where, they're not really familiar with those sorts of things. And then the opportunity came up to request redundancy, which I then was given, which is fantastic. So redundancy means getting paid for a period of time, like a notice period, which I would have been paid for anyway, but I would have had to have worked. So you don't have to work it, plus you usually get paid something which is connected to your length of service. So an amount of money per length for number of months you've worked in the company. So that all happened, and it was fantastic. So I left in April, left the office in April, and then I left contractually I left in May, and started my own company, Heart Centered Wellness. I am the founder of a company, and I provide quantum energy healing, clearing, readings, psychic readings, teaching, one-to-one sessions, my training sessions, and soon you'll also have my app where you can sign up and have regular meditations as well. So more to come on that separately. Some of the other parts of the context which are perhaps helpful are that it's really beautiful down here at Amble Harbour, so you just see the fishing boats as we walk back. Some of the other bits of context were that I did have, from quite early on in my journey at the company, connections with some of the senior leaders there, as in directors, or we'd call them like S-team members. Most companies just call it a director, but these are the guys at the time reporting up to Jeff Bezos, and of course that's now Andy has taken over as CEO. But what was fascinating was those early introductions allowed me to form at least like awareness, of who these people were, because I'd never experienced that in some of the other companies like banks, etc. in the UK. It's so rare to see any directors, let alone get time, or meeting time was so incredibly difficult. Whereas it's very different in Amazon, much flatter hierarchy. And so what I really enjoyed was having connections with them. I'd see them once every, a few months. And one of the projects I was doing got me to meet half of them in the first couple of years, and it really shaped a lot of what was to come in my career. In that they're inspiring individuals, regardless of how aligned you feel with them, like their wisdom, their creativity, their ability to pick up on the things that you're proposing and see the challenges that you'll have. It's just quite incredible to see. And then there's also, what I also witnessed was that it helped me create like clear visions for my team, because I had a sense of what my primary customers wanted, because till the last day I left, all of our customers were internal. So meeting their senior leaders right up at the top of the company really helped me. And then sometimes I would ask for help, or I would ask for, I remember one time we weren't sure if our teams were going to be funded, and I asked one of the leaders who happened to be visiting, I asked them for a meeting, and I just wanted to propose that we kept going with what we were doing. There's a seagull down there that has is it called a skate, is it? Like a flatfish? So yeah, I just remember taking the opportunities, whenever, not that I was shown any favor, but it's so much easier when someone knows you or knows of you. So that helped a lot. And I remember even on the last day, or last few days in the office, I emailed one of the senior leaders and said, I'm going, and they just said, one of the things they said was, they remembered me for the most, which is lovely, it was my music and my joy and sense of fun, and that I always brought this to every event. And it's true, as I began writing songs, every day that's what I would do. I would turn up at meetings and events and conferences, and that's what I would be doing, these things like writing a song not writing it, but just improvising a song for whenever someone turned up. And I'd be doing this at like very senior levels in the company. In fact, at one point we were at a meeting, and although it didn't actually happen on that day, we were getting briefed that our CEO was going to visit us, and I was like, oh great, I get to sing him a song with my guitar. So yeah, I love that there was this reflection from my leader, which was, hey, I saw, at least I got to show them part of me. And I also, in the last, so from October, once I qualified in meditation teaching, I also used it as a way of running weekly classes. So I ran a Wednesday class. I did it both in person and online, which is quite funny because it reminds me of what I'm doing now in Naked Revive on a Tuesday. But yeah, I get the opportunity to share, come on Patch, do meditation with the people in the office, introduce many to meditation, and it expanded out for not just people in Scotland and the UK, but also across Europe. So that was a lot of fun, and I just really enjoyed showing more and more aspects of me. And I was like that email to my leader as I left. I said, look, I'm leaving to do these things, meditation, also I mentioned reflexology, and of course music, and I just wanted to thank them for the journey, and it's genuine. I saw, from all the journey that I've described to you, this was a journey that I created. I created those teams, I created the products, I created the structures and the situations. I'm the one that decided to go part-time. Yes, companies can be better employers and look after people better, but there were so many things I could have done better. One of the big challenges I had is that I struggled to put into put into my work, like all aspects of me. I found that really difficult, but you could tell from what I was saying towards the end, I'd managed to get music firmly into my work. I managed to get meditation in there. I didn't do any reflexology there. Things like helping with stress and burnout and anxiety, or my energy healing. I found that really difficult. The closest I got was meditation. In terms of the way our products affected others, because the 3 teams I created, I had 3 different products. That I would say that the ethics behind, and I and the teams like created tenets, like these guiding trade-off principles, where you say, we would, for instance, we would always put our customers first. We would always make sure that our products are fair for gender and race, and regardless of your background and it's all about what skills you have, and how those skills are a good fit for the job. So that felt really good, and also the fact that we were at least then world leading. I don't know how the teams are now. And then to catch up, well, it was 40 minutes. To catch up latterly, I had such a beautiful send-off in April from the teams. And although I've messaged a couple of people, I've not seen anyone since I left. I do keep an eye out for them on things like LinkedIn and just say hello. And there, I'm easy to follow, right? I make it easy for people to see my content each day. And that's really good. That I know that some are checking in on me and they sometimes comment. So that all feels good. Come on, Patch. We're just walking up the high street now. More Halloween stuff. Wow, there's tons of Halloween stuff. It's so cool. And yeah, part of me would love to meet up if you're watching this. And it does remind me, like, I should definitely at least schedule something in to catch up with some of the people and see how they're doing. But yeah, it's just, I feel like sometimes the space is good as well, because then you get this opportunity to to reflect and grow, and it means you have more news when you do catch up with people. But I absolutely have been through the journey of releasing, that old version of me, the ego, the job title, the money, and it's been a big part of these last few months for me. And I remember even up until quite recently, if someone asked me, "Well, what do you do, John?" I would still say, "Well, I used to do this," because it was easier to tell strangers that, I was a software manager. And now it's, I don't lead with that anymore. I just say, I started my own company this year. I do, psychic and spiritual mentoring, quantum energy healing, reflexology, meditation, training, all these things. So, yeah, that's what I say now. And sometimes I'll give a bit of context, which can be really helpful, right? Just to say, these are the things that I previously did. So yeah, that's my journey. If you have any questions about my journey, any specifics, please feel free. I do feel that one of the things, and I was also exploring this in kind of embryonic form with my friend Natasha, was thinking about how businesses can best, become more conscious, become more mindful in business, but also not pushing so hard all the time, including like the definition and creation of products and services for customers and the problems that you choose to solve, like helping reflect on how best to receive the inspiration for these, using practices like meditation and even channeling, I do it today. Like, I've been asking my members in my membership group how they'd like me to improve it, and I've asked them to share the problems that they face, and and they'd like me to help tackle. And then my next job is to do a little bit of channeling and find out from my guides and their guides, with their permission, what I can best do to help. And one of the things, that the top theme that came up was helping people connect with each other. So yeah, I'm excited to do that. Anyway, that's me. I'm going to sign off just now, and it's been a pleasure taking on this journey. And I do feel like it's helpful for me to share more about me, about my past. What is it that's saying? I think it's even from Jurassic Park, which is, the more we know about our past, the more we know about where we're going, which is fantastic. Anyway, I'll sign off.